Part 87. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 868. In front of the Duke's palace. The whole city denounced it. Protests abounded. A public demonstration was held here. Then it got worse and worse. There is quite a tendency to start a riot and break into the Duke's palace if they don't show up to give an explanation. The sixth princess, who was wearing a palace dress, also cleverly blended in. A pair of gilded golden eyes frowned slightly, looking at all of this thoughtfully. In her opinion, this denunciation has become more and more intense, and it is obvious that someone is involved in it, guiding public opinion. And this group of people are undoubtedly the nobles of Yongkang City. He is a vested interest in this eternal city in the north. Now that the Duke of the North is dead, Yongkang City has become a terra incognita, and everyone wants to take a bite. Under such circumstances, the nobles will naturally not allow anyone to interfere in the affairs of the Duke's palace. Certainly. Those nobles were smart enough to know that they could not compete with a being who could kill the Duke of the North, so they chose to use the pressure of public opinion to force Shen Jian away, or drive him to the opposite side of the north. She wanted to know how the man who had always called her brother was going to deal with all this. This is no small matter. If it is not handled well, it will inevitably turn into a riot that sweeps the whole city. By then, even if we take the northern border, it will be of no use at all. Not to mention, Shen Jian has not been cleared of the suspicion of evil spirits. Evil ghosts also have sanity. Although their minds are controlled by the killing instinct, under normal circumstances, this can be controlled, but normal evil ghosts do not choose to do so. After all, in the eyes of evil ghosts, ghosts are not their own kind. Killing can make them happy. What they are killing is not one of their own, so why not kill? This is the underlying logic of evil spirits. Now, the whole city denounced it. Public pressure is at an all-time high. Even normal ghosts will feel angry when faced with this situation, while evil ghosts are simple and will kill all those who resist. Shen Jian's choice can largely explain his mental state and whether he is controlled by evil ghost instincts. Besides, where did her fourth prince brother go? How long has it been and it still hasn't appeared? Does this want the nobles here to completely point public opinion in a direction that is unfavorable to him? Just thinking about it? Buzz. Above Yongkang City. An unparalleled, brilliant, and extremely huge blazing golden light rose into the sky, like a huge pillar, directly swinging away the thick clouds above the head, as if connecting to the heavenly world. And in the center of the heaven, a figure walked out. It's like a god descending to earth. That's a man. Her long golden hair was fluttering in the wind, and her gilded golden eyes shone brightly, blooming with a mysterious color. What's more important is that this person is stepping on the void, and a majestic country is reflected behind him, making him look sacred and impossible to look directly at. It was obviously dark night, but under the illumination of this golden light, Yongkang City was rendered into a golden world, brightening into daylight and capturing people's attention. I killed the Duke of the North, who has any objections? Shen Jian dropped the corpses of several ghosts in his hands, descended into the air of the Duke's mansion, and looked down. Just now. In order to completely hide the third small goal of the mission, while the Duke's palace was desperately promoting it, he ran around the northern border and entered the high seas. Of course, he still got down to business. He killed all those along the way who had excessive grievances and had turned into evil spirits, and put them into the blood pool hell. Nowadays, the evil spirits have been wiped out all over the northern border. Next, you can start to stabilize Yongkang City and complete this hidden mission. As soon as these words came out, the whole place is silent. Looking at Shen Jian, who was like a god, the originally aggressive people lowered their heads at this moment, losing the courage to look at each other, let alone the momentum to condemn, and they were like quails in the ghost tide. A fat man with a big belly and edema from drowning all over his body had a gloomy face. He was the highest-ranking nobleman under the Duke of the North, ranked as a marquis, and possessed a terrifying level of ghosts and gods. Once the Grand Duke of the North dies, due to emotions and reasons, Yongkong City should be left to him, rather than being occupied by an outside invader. Moreover, the secret of Ghost Street has been exposed. Let the North become precarious. It's really hateful. If he couldn't beat him, he would have to teach him how to behave. But it's not too late. Using the pressure of public opinion to force others and guide others is what he is best at. The reason why the Duke of the North has such a positive image in Yongkong City is not only because he is secretive and has the strongest terror level in the North, but also because of his guidance. At this point, it is also suitable to be used here. Then, the fat Marquis calmly spread the word among the ghosts, blonde hair and golden eyes, are you a member of the royal family? Hasn't the royal family always ignored the North? Now that the Duke has taken care of it, the royal family is moved again. But failed to rob him, so he killed the Duke and wanted to seize the northern territory, right? As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar on the field. These words can be said to have aroused everyone's anger towards the royal family of the Eli Empire. If the royal family had not let it go, how could the northern border have fallen into such a situation? Now, Yongkong City finally got on the right track in the hands of the Duke, and the royal family wanted to come and pick the peaches directly. They also killed the Duke and blamed the source of the evil spirits, so that they could legitimately take over the entire northern territory. What a royal family! It's too disrespectful. This moment, the ghosts were angry again. See this. Shen Jian glanced at the fat marquis who had just spoken. Yu Yu said, yes, I am indeed a member of the royal family, and I am also the fourth prince. Hear this. There was a sudden pause on the field. More commotion followed. The fourth prince. This man, who is like the incarnation of a god, is actually the fourth prince who has become so famous in recent times that he has caused a stir in the entire kingdom and continent. How come he is here? Could it be that, as others have said, the fourth prince's goal is to seize the four realms and eliminate the other princes and princesses in advance before the king's trial is over and become the only winner? After the southern border and the eastern border, this waste prince who has been dormant for more than 10 years finally turns his attention to the northern border? But didn't he eliminate the 6 princesses? Why kill the Duke of the North? Wrong. It seems that this is not the first time this fourth prince has done this. When they occupied Eagle City in the south, the other party personally killed the Duke of the South. Killing another one didn't seem surprising. But the Grand Duke of the North is a good man. While the ghosts were still thinking, Shen Jian continued, at the same time, I am also the holy son of Elim Temple, because I received the oracle. The words fell. On Shen's body, the bright golden light erupted again. The void was penetrated by light layer by layer, turning the entire city into a dazzling paradise world. There was an indescribable blazing and destructive aura boiling and stirring like the tilt of the Milky Way, as if it was about to flood this world. And above, a beautiful figure loomed as the golden light stirred. Put your hands together. An oracle came down. In the oracle, Shen Jian is designated as the heir most suitable to lead the Eli Empire to its peak, and the Elim Temple will also be his support to help him expand his career. Besides, several goals were also given. One of them is to unify the four realms and allow the Eli Empire to achieve true unification. The second is to point out that the Duke of the North is the source of evil spirits and destroy him. See this. All the ghosts were dumbfounded. A member of royal blood was able to obtain the support of the Elim Temple and hear the oracle that only a saint could hear. What does this mean? representing the glorious ghosts and gods, the most special existence of the Eli Empire, recognized Shen Jian and believed that only Shen Jian was the hope of the future of the Eli Empire. Once this oracle comes out, even if the fourth prince is really a fool, there will be fanatic believers who will risk their lives to help him ascend the throne. What's more, the fourth prince is not only not useless, but also wise and powerful. Judging from the current situation, the fourth prince's winning rate is indeed the highest. Immediately, the scene was blown up. Many ghosts had already folded their hands and shouted Shen Jian's name. These people are all believers of Elim Temple. And lots of them. It occupies almost 60% of the entire Yongkang city. This kind of situation is very abnormal in other territories, and the proportion is too high, but don't forget that the Northern Territory has the worst environment and the most serious situation among the 4 territories. It is plagued by evil spirits all year round, and families are destroyed. The more difficult it is in this environment, the more believers in glorious ghosts and gods there are. This resulted in a scene where more than half of the population of Yongkang City were believers. Among the remaining 40% of the population, 20% are neutral. Whichever side is more vocal, they will fall to that side. Therefore, at this moment, all the original voices of condemnation in Yongkang City disappeared. Instead, there was a kind of fanatical cheering. No one has any complaints about Shen Jian killing the Duke of the North. After all, the oracle has pointed out that the Duke of the North is the source of evil spirits. Shen Jian, the holy son who received the oracle, killed him. Is rescuing the North. So, who else is dissatisfied? In the ghost tide, the fat Marquis was completely confused. No. It's okay that you are the fourth prince, why do you have the identity of the holy son of Elim Temple? Or the one who has received the most special status from the glorious ghosts and gods? He desperately wanted to expose the fourth prince's conspiracy. But after thinking about it, he couldn't help it. Because he couldn't judge whether the oracle was true or false. If it was true, then by questioning Shen Jian, he was questioning the glorious ghosts and gods. That forced the royal family and the 4 holy families to openly admit the terrifying existence of the coexistence of divine power and royal power. How could he, a ghost and god, dare to go against it? Isn't this too long-lived? Scared. Scared. I'll give up on robbing the Yongkang City head office. However, the fat Marquis thought so, but Shen Jian didn't think so. He cast his gaze faintly. There was a sinister smile in his eyes, but his expression was solemn on the surface. He pointed at the fat Marquis and said sacredly, "This man is in the same group as the Grand Duke of the North. Capture him and let him apologize." The words fell. The fat Marquis was immediately shocked. He noticed that countless pairs of ghost eyes fell on him, with anger, resentment, and hatred on their faces, and they grabbed him one after another. He looked disdainful. "Who do you look down on? He is a ghost, and with this group of refugees, even hundreds of them will not be able to catch him." Just when the fat Marquis was about to use the ghost realm to disappear, a sinister voice exploded in his ears, "If you dare to escape, I will go and kill your whole family, your host family, your brother's family, my mother-in-law's house also has to be together. Even the ant nest in front of the door has to be poured with aluminum water, the eggs in the house have to be shaken into yolks, and the wild dogs passing by have to be kicked." Moment. The fat Marquis felt like he was struck by lightning. He stared in disbelief, slowly raised his head, and looked at Shen Jian, who had a strange smile on his face, staring straight at him, with the corners of his mouth even wider. He was sure. These words were exactly what the fourth prince said. Mad. What kind of crime is this that involves 10 clans? What the hell did I do? Didn't I just encourage the people here to rebel? It's not like we're going to kill the 10 clans. Aren't you the humming holy son of Elim Temple? Your current behavior, If you didn't say you got the oracle from the glorious ghosts and gods, I would have thought you got the oracle from the evil ghosts. It's too doggy. The fat Marquis was trembling all over. Distraught and angry. He looked at Shen Jian with a look of hatred, and then he was overwhelmed by thousands of ghosts. This moment. He got it. This dog sent something. It is not the holy son of the temple at all. Everything was forged by the fourth prince. This prince is so courageous. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Bulletin Chi Gua. Chapter 869. In front of the Duke's palace. A figure with a bright light shining behind him and full of sacred auras stood in the air, showing the demeanor of the holy son of the temple, as if he was preaching a saint, solemn and extraordinary. In sharp contrast to this, is the bloody scene below where thousands of ghosts scream and crazily eat one person. It looks extremely weird. This scene. The 6 princesses in the ghost tide have a panoramic view. She stared into her gilded eyes, and her expression changed slightly. Although it was not obvious, it was enough to show the shock in her heart. She had thought of several solutions to how this man, who was suspected of being her 4th prince brother, would resolve the public opinion turmoil in Yongkang City. Exposing one's royal identity is one of them. Using her own strength to coerce the whole city and adopt high-pressure policies is also the method she envisioned based on the evil spirit's thinking. However, she never expected that Shen Jian would use the most unexpected method. Pretending to be the holy son of Elim Temple, he pretended to preach the oracle of the glorious ghosts and gods. This move is so shameless, oh no, it's so wonderful. Even she hadn't imagined it. After all, outsiders don't know the relationship between the royal family and the temple. As a princess, can she still know? That was simply dire straits, and they wished they could destroy their theocratic rule. As a princess, she had never thought that she could use the influence of the temple to expand her reputation and increase her support. This was too unreasonable. It's also too bold. Especially when it comes to falsely spreading the oracle of the glorious ghost and god. Isn't he afraid that the glorious ghost and god himself will show up and kill him for blasphemy? If that's the case, I'm afraid even the royal family won't be able to protect him. What did he think? The 6 kings were puzzled. Certainly. She also had to admit that, at least for now, after giving herself the identity of the holy son of Elim Temple, public opinion has completely turned to the side of the 4th prince. This is the terrible influence of theocracy. The more troubled the times, the more believers there are in the temple. There are enough to paralyze a city in a short period of time, and can also cause a city to change ownership in a short period of time. Belief in supernatural beings is undoubtedly the most terrifying brainwashing in the world. For example, just now, under Shen Jian's order, a group of people who didn't even have a ghost king dared to attack a ghost. This is completely impossible for normal ghosts. But when it comes to believers, it can be easily accomplished. However, the 6th princess also saw that at the moment when the fat Marquis was about to use the ghost realm to leave, she, the 4th prince's brother, seemed to have said something to him, causing the Marquis to give up his resistance and be overwhelmed by all the ghosts. Thinking about it, you know it must be some kind of threat. And it is a fatal threat that the other party cannot bear. Otherwise, no matter how good a ghost or god is, it is impossible for him to give up his life on his own initiative. This is also an important reason why she thinks that Shen Jian is pretending to be the holy son of Elim Temple. It's over. The 6th princess murmured in a low voice. A touch of emotion flashed in his eyes. She is born with a weak ability to empathize with emotions, and is even less able to generate strong emotions in response to changes in external things. She is what people often call a ruthless person. In the past 2 days, her mood changes have exceeded the total of the past 10 years. All of this was naturally because of her, the fourth prince brother who was so radiant that he seemed to be the manifestation of a god. Is he really my brother? With this confusion, the sixth princess turned and left without any nostalgia. The next second, she took one step forward. Appeared inexplicably in a strange environment. His eyes swept away. She recognized this as the Duke's mansion in the north. Because the noisy cheers outside continued. On the side, a group of top ghost kings headed by the chief instructor were standing respectfully in the corner. Sixth princess. She lightly clenched her pink fists and said in a deep voice, "Brother, it must be you." Correct answer, but unfortunately there is no reward. In the empty hall, Shen Jian's voice sounded suddenly. At this time, he was no longer as radiant as outside, but he was still extraordinary, flamboyant, and stern. His long golden hair and gilded golden eyes made him even more divine. For those who don't know, they might really think that Shen Jian is the holy son of Elim Temple. Don't you know that taking a lady away without saying a word is a very rude invitation? The court master should have taught you this. The voice of the sixth princess was calm, but you could still hear a hint of eye-rolling dissatisfaction. Forget. Shen Jian is also upright. Brother, you are really ignorant. Haha, my good sister, has the palace master ever taught you to show more respect to your brother? Oh, as early as when I hung you up all night, you were clamoring to sever ties with me. This is what you said. And your subsequent behavior showed that you did not regard me as your sister. The two men carried guns and sticks. I heard the top ghost kings around me shivering. My mamma mia! This little ancestor, you must be too brave to talk to this devil like this. We were horrified to hear this. It's true that you are brother and sister, but we are extremely afraid that if that man is unhappy, he will kill us to add to the fun. A good while. Seeing that Shen Jian was determined to fight to the end, the sixth princess took out 2 breaths in succession, calmed down her mood, and said angrily, "Tell me, what do you want to do? You have already taken the northern territory, and I can't threaten you. You're not so careful as to drive me back to the royal city, are you?" Shen Jian waved his hand and said, "I hope you can manage the northern territory on my behalf. You don't need to do anything, just be a mascot. By the way, you can supervise the Duke's palace until the situation is completely stable." Hear this. The sixth prince's eyebrows couldn't help but raise. There was a hint of surprise on his face. He seemed to be suspecting that he had heard something wrong. "You want me to take charge of the northern territory? Aren't you afraid that I will give you a bird's nest?" This time, she was really confused. That's the northern border. Although after experiencing the ravages of evil spirits, the development of the northern territory has not caught up with the other 3 realms, it is not an ordinary 5-star supernatural land that can be touched. If any prince or princess can occupy a realm and become the master, their advantage in the king's trial will be unmatched, and victory will basically be guaranteed. One can imagine how tempting it is to take charge of a realm. And now, Shen Jian actually planned to let her take charge of it? What are you thinking about? Or is this to test her reaction? What? You want it? If you want it, I can give it to you as compensation for the prank I played on you before. Shen Jian said with a smile. His goal has always been to end the king trial ahead of schedule, not to really occupy the 4 realms and unify the entire Ili Empire. In other words, occupying the 4 realms is just a means to achieve the goal, and he does not value it. The sixth princess narrowed her eyes. For a moment, there was no flaw in Shen Jian's face. "Oh, I really wish there was someone with the blood of the Belkia family by my side, but I don't want to go to the north. The reason why I chose the north was because I thought the environment here was harsh and it would allow me to have less contact with the outside world. Communicate, rather than really want to participate in the trial of fighting for the king. As for the trusteeship, as long as you are not afraid of my evil intentions, brother, I can temporarily take over for you. The corners of her eyes were slightly raised, and her long golden hair touched her cheeks, like light golden threads. Her expression was full of confidence, as if taking charge of a place was not a difficult task for her. However, you are too bold. You are pretending to be the holy son of Elim Temple, and you are also falsely preaching the glorious ghost oracle. This matter will be exposed soon. You should know what the reaction from the temple will be. Just in case. If it really attracts the glorious ghosts and gods, you'd better think of a solution, otherwise even if you are a prince, the royal family will not be able to protect you. I don't want to be here to help you take charge of the Northern Territory, and then hear the news of your death over there. I don't want to be the lord of the Northern Territory. The voice of the sixth princess was cold. No emotion could be heard. But Shen Jian could still see that his nominally good sister showed concern for a moment. It was not obvious, but it was enough to prove that what he had done had touched the stone girl. See this. Shen Jian stretched out his hand and rubbed her head. My sister is really unlovable, can't you think about the good things? Can't I really be the holy son of Elim Temple? Don't I look like that? The words fell. Sixth princess. A group of top ghost kings. Their lips twitched together. This is no longer a question of resemblance, you are so humming different from the image of the holy son of the temple. Yes, your temperament and appearance are very consistent with the image of the holy son, even more so. You are simply more holy son than the real holy son. But the criteria for selecting the holy son in the Elim temple are not based solely on appearance, but on how compatible they are with the glorious ghosts and gods, and whether their character is favored. If you go, let the glorious ghosts and gods see all your bad deeds and evil deeds, and they will not purify you as an evil ghost. This is already a very restrained result. Still want to be a saint? Next life. Let's change your so-so black heart first. The ghosts complained in their hearts. I wanted to despise him, but after thinking about it I decided to let it go. It would be better to do less than to do more. Their desire to survive is quite strong. The sixth princess was dissatisfied and knocked off Shen Jian's hand, straightened out some of the messed up hairs, held it in for a while, and then curled her lips and said, "Brother, the palace master once taught us filial piety, loyalty, trust, etiquette, justice, integrity, and shame, you still remember it? What's wrong?" It's nothing, I just think that you are so good, brother. You have already achieved filial piety, loyalty, trust, etiquette, justice, and integrity. Unlike my sister, I haven't achieved many of them yet. Shen Jian. He was tongue-tied. Aside. The chief instructor approached the gun ghost and lowered his voice, "You are a cultured person. What do you mean by the words of the six princesses? They have already achieved the 7 items of filial piety, loyalty, trust, etiquette, justice, and integrity. Isn't this good? We are ghosts. How can it be perfect, but I don't think you are happy." The gun ghost also lowered his voice, "You are stupid. Don't you think about it? You have already accomplished 7 items, so what is nothing?" The chief instructor was stunned for a moment. He seemed to be counting in his mind. No, shameless, ouch, this noble is different, he curses people like this, ah. The chief instructor hasn't finished speaking yet. He was already knocked out by a bright bolt of lightning, accompanied by an astonishing scream. Group of ghosts. Mad. I just said that the sixth prince is very courageous, and you are also very courageous when riding a horse. Others, like the sixth prince, were beating around the bush, but it was better for you to say it directly as if you were missing a muscle. Damn it, if you don't speak, no one will think you are mute. For a while, the Duke's palace fell into silence. Only the sixth princess seemed to have slightly curved eyebrows, showing a bit of playfulness. Brother, no wonder you asked me to take care of it. Before this Duke's palace in the north, everyone should be a martial type. Shen Jian was a little mute. God is so martial. Wouldn't it be better for you to just say that these people are stupid and weak-minded? My sister turns out to be a bit vicious. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 870. Drive away a group of top ghost kings. Shen Jian got down to business. You should know my goal. Taking the northern border means that I have the entrance to the high seas in my hands, but, I took a tour of the high seas an hour ago, except for seeing a few ships. Outside of the black ship with the evil ghost logo, third prince sister is nowhere to be found. Where did she go? While searching for the 3 life stones and exterminating the evil spirits in the north, he was also simultaneously searching for the whereabouts of the 3 princesses. However, not only were the fragments of the 3 life stones not found, not even the 3 princesses were seen. This situation is very unusual. After all, according to his intelligence, the 3 princesses have unified the entire high seas, established the deep-sea devil fleet, and controlled the most important sea routes in the north and west. Every day, they get hundreds of thousands of horror coins just by lying down. They are all protection fees paid by merchant ships of all sizes. With this income, the third prince's daughter has developed faster than anyone imagined. And what's even more astonishing is that when the 3 princes and girls made these preparations, the trial for the king had not yet begun, but the other party made arrangements in advance and entered the competition first, having spent several years saving up before the other princes, and girls. Therefore, in just the first year of the king trial, the entire kingdom and continent heard the news that the 3 princesses unified the high seas and were honored as the queen of the sea. His courage, his scheming, and his courage are evident. At the same time, the third princess is also the only one among all the royal heirs to be promoted to the rank of ghost. Her deeds are extremely dazzling. Women do not give way to men. Stronger than all princes. If the eldest prince hadn't had the dual support of his grandfather, the Duke of the West, and his natal family, the Belkia family, the outcome would have been very clear. He is very interested in this legendary third princess. Because if the third princess hadn't bribed the chief maid and the chief of guards around the fourth prince, and arranged for him to fall off a cliff, causing the fourth prince to fall into a short sleep and be unable to wake up, he would not have been assigned such a noble status by the horror game. After all this is due to the 3 princesses. Unfortunately, the reunion between brother and sister that he imagined did not happen. Much to his regret. Hear this. An imperceptible thought flashed between the 6th princess' brows. It seems that rhetoric is brewing. He also seemed to be weighing the disadvantages and deciding whether to tell the man in front of him. In her opinion, Shen Jian's identity is still unclear, and she always has doubts. Certainly. This is not because she has a close relationship with the 4th prince. On the contrary, she doesn't care whether something happens to the 4th prince. The reason why she always wants to find out Shen Jian's identity is that she believes that the royal bloodline cannot be tainted by others. Secondly, it is natural. She couldn't fully trust people wearing masks. However, thinking of Shen Jian's previous scene of giving the north to her without hesitation, she pondered for a moment and explained, "The black sailboat you saw is the deep-sea devil fleet of the third princess, which was about 10 days ago. The deep-sea devil fleet once landed in the northern territory and seemed to be investigating the terrain. This is also the basis for the rumor that the third queen's sister wants to occupy the northern territory. But those were all false rumors. Less than 3 days after landing in the north, the deep-sea devil fleet chose to return. Apparently, they noticed that the evil spirits in the north were really difficult to get rid of and could not find the source, so they gave it up. Some kind of plan, and since then, there has never been any sign of large-scale operations by the Deep-Sea Devil Fleet, and now, the fleet has disappeared, and it still came out in full force, leaving only a few ships to guard it. Then there is only one possibility. Sister 3 Wang has taken action, and the goal is Western Realm. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. Took over the topic. The two ends of the high seas connect the northern and western territories. Although it is possible to take a detour to the southern and eastern territories, those two territories were occupied by him not long ago. It was the time when the nobles from all over the place were being swept away and the defense was at its most intensive. If you take a detour, you will definitely notice something unusual. Unless there is no master in the territory, everyone will do their own thing. The one that meets this condition is naturally the southern territory. Thinking back to the fact that the third princess first chose to take action against the fourth prince, Shen Jian was almost 100% sure that the location where the third princess initially chose to log in was probably the southern border. If he hadn't taken over the identity of the fourth prince and occupied the southern border in a very short period of time, the army of the third princess would have probably killed him long ago. And now, because the southern border and the eastern border were occupied by him one after another, the third princess could not sit still and chose to investigate the situation in the northern border. However, she was persuaded to retreat by a steady stream of evil spirits, and finally she could only target the western border. After all, she knew that if she didn't take action, she would probably be trapped and die on the high seas. Instead of doing this, it was better to give it a try. As long as they can successfully tear a hole in the western territory, the three princesses will have a large front, relying on the fleet's continuous supplies, enough to consume the eldest prince. Think of this. Shen Jian understood immediately. He has a clear grasp of the third princess's mental journey. That's right, the sixth princess pursed her lips and looked arrogant as if she was not too stupid. You have already occupied the two southeastern territories. If you take a detour, you will definitely find them and snipe them on the coastline. Outside, the Western Territory is different. The Western Territory has a large number of ports, and even the Duke of the Western Territory cannot close them all by himself. Furthermore, Sister Wang has already released the message that she will land in the Northern Territory, so the Western Territory will naturally be negligent. At this critical moment, an unexpected landing in the Western Territory will undoubtedly catch everyone off guard. She talked freely. In terms of analysis, the six princesses are indeed naturally smart. Just by getting the information that a third princess is not on the high seas, one can immediately guess the other party's intentions and accurately describe the general idea. A counselor is nothing more than that. As the terror level of the ghosts continues to increase, their thinking ability seems to be beyond that of normal people. If horror games really invade the real world and assimilate everything, human beings will become a low-level species within a few decades. I can no longer tell the difference between humans and ghosts. Soon. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. Nod slightly. Stand up. See it? The sixth princess noticed Shen Jian's imminent move and was a little startled. She, the fourth prince brother, isn't going to interfere, is she? What do you want to do? What else can I do? Of course, I'm going to have a respectful meeting between brothers and sisters. I can eliminate two of them at once and save me a lot of effort. Shen Jian grinned. There was an uncontrollable weird smile in his pupils. As if he couldn't wait to intervene. I can't fix it for the sixth prince. Sometimes, she really couldn't understand Shen Jian's brain circuit. Is this the time to intervene? Besides, this is a war between the prince with the greatest background and the princess with the strongest overall strength. That's war, not child's play. Ordinary people's first reaction when they hear about war is panic. Even nobles will be worried when they hear about war, for fear that it will affect them. You're damn good, you're excited. At least show some restraint. Otherwise, if others see it, they will think that the royal family of the Eli Empire is full of war madmen. If one or two people do not start a war, they feel that their lives are in vain. She couldn't help but hold her forehead. He said angrily, there is a simpler way, why complicate it? You can wait until the two people decide the winner, then take advantage of it and win the final victory, but if you choose to intervene, you will leading the situation to an unknown outcome. Shen Jian smiled even more wildly. Looking at the sixth princess, he said word by word, in that case, what's the point? Some people like to be conservative, some like to be radical, and I like the process of conquest. Hear the words. The sixth princess was stunned. Looking at the flamboyant and domineering man in front of him, it is hard to imagine that someone actually enjoys war. Yes. She converted based on Shen Jian's meaning, basically saying, I like war, the outcome of the war is not important, what is important is that I personally participate in it and dominate the battlefield situation. She was speechless. I don't understand, I don't support, I don't object. At last. She could only show her dead fish eyes, snorted softly, and chose to see the guest off, since you have decided, I won't stop you. Anyway, the good news is all yours. If you lose the fight and escape to the north to save your life, I will laugh at you forever. Said. She also stood up, glanced at Shen Jian with her dead eyes again, and made a standard aristocratic gift to see off guests. However, the next second, Shen Jian put his hand on her shoulder. Yu said, my sister, have you forgotten something? Just because I didn't say anything, doesn't mean I don't care. You were calling me shameless just now, right? The face of the sixth princess froze slightly. But his expression remained unchanged and he said calmly, the palace master should have taught you that beating a lady is not the behavior of the royal family. Even if there is a verbal conflict, a man should maintain a gentleman's demeanor and show his generosity. Haha, you may have forgotten that family conflicts do not require the maintenance of aristocratic etiquette. Shen Jian smiled disdainfully. He pressed the little lowly who only reached his chest onto the sofa. Point your pout at him. This time. The sixth princess, who was naturally smart, immediately understood what Shen Jian wanted to do. Her golden pupils suddenly opened wide, and the golden ghost realm erupted, and she was about to escape from Shen Jian's clutches. Pity. Invalid. How dare you? No one dares to hit me like this, not even my brother. This time. The voice of the sixth princess showed more emotions. A little face that was always plain, as if nothing could affect her mind, was now anxious. As the body struggles, other parts of the body naturally twist as well. Although young, it is already small scale. Shen Jian's expression remained unchanged. Hands up. Snapped. This time. He was not polite at all. Both elegant and loud. The sixth princess bit her lower lip, looking confused. He probably never imagined that he would be punished in this posture by someone he hated before. There was no pain, but this humiliation made her twist her slim waist desperately. The more this happened, the more Shen Jian wanted to punish her. Are you still scolding me? Just scold. Snapped. Do you know how to be more respectful? Have no idea. Snapped. Will you still be venomous in the future? I will write a vicious quotation when I get back, specifically to write down your embarrassing things and spread them out, so that the entire kingdom and mainland will know what kind of person the fourth prince is in their eyes. The six princesses were not convinced. The voices became shrill. Like a maggot, struggling darkly. But he still couldn't escape from the big hand that grabbed Shen Jian. Call me brother. Not called. Call. Not called. Call. Elder brother. The 6 princesses are convinced. He yelled reluctantly. Subconsciously. Shen Jian shouted again, call daddy. 6th princess. Shen Jian reacted and let go of the 6th princess without blushing or heartbeat. The 6th princess looked at Shen Jian resentfully, rubbed her hands, and turned around sadly. Brother, you are so perverted. Finished. As if she was caught again, she immediately left. Shen Jian. Gan. I'm used to being shouted at. Did not notice. But it's all little things. Anyway, the 6th princess is not that old yet, so she probably doesn't know what it means. That's it? Shen Jian comforted himself. Out of the corner of his eye. On the game board. The scarlet text has already risen. Hidden mission, recover the Northern Territory, completed. It has been detected that the player has the title of Dungeon Terminator, the plot point has been changed, and the reward is initial favorability add 50, applicable to the North. End of this chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 871. Hidden mission, recover the Northern Territory, completed. It is detected that the player is wearing the title of Dungeon Terminator, the plot node has been destroyed, and the reward is initial favorability add 50, applicable to the North. It has been detected that the player has overcompleted the task, and the title of the ultimate successor of the thriller game has been triggered, with the reward doubled. Reward, initial favorability add 20. Scope, the entire Ili Empire. Note, player reputation has been improved. Looking at the prompts on the scarlet panel, Shen Jian was slightly surprised for a moment. There are actually additional rewards, which is really an unexpected surprise. To know. After he successively occupied the Southern Territory and the Eastern Territory, his reputation in these two kingdoms has been raised to a level that everyone knows, especially in the Southern Territory. After unification, he has already obtained an initial favorability of add 30. Award. Add another 20 points of favorability, and it will reach 50 points. To this extent, his orders are almost unimpeded in the southern border, and the people's wishes are what they want. Even if someone slanders or frames him, the people's trust in him will not be shaken soon. It is a relatively safe favorable range. And the North is even more outrageous. His favorability here has reached a terrifying 70 points. At 60 points, it is already the ambiguous stage. If you operate it properly at 70 points, you can already have sex as a couple. One can imagine what it means for the entire Northern Territory population to have a favorable opinion of him reaching 70 points. When he gave an order, everyone in the North responded. The Lord of the North is worthy of his name. Think of this. Shen Jian was secretly speechless. If there is another similar mission reward, even if he does not want to sit on the throne in the future, the fanatics in the North will put a yellow robe on him and support him to ascend the throne. He remembered a sentence, "Oh, you really hurt me." Soon. Shen Jian suppressed his unruly thoughts. Start thinking about follow-up plans. The southern border, the eastern border, and the northern border are all in his hands. He has captured 3/4 of the Ili Empire, leaving only the western border. After defeating the eldest prince and the 3 princesses, and eliminating 2 of them, the trial for the king can end early, and the position of crown prince is close at hand. But his goal is not the crown prince, but half of Luo Fengtian's authority owned by the king. This is his most fundamental goal in entering this dungeon. Ending the king trial ahead of schedule is just a prerequisite. He also needs to get the king to hand over the gemstone ring that symbolizes the power of the kingdom. Only in this way can Luo Fengtian's authority be obtained. According to the information he knew, the trial for the king would only occur when the old king was unable to shoulder the heavy responsibility and was about to abdicate. The so-called trial was actually a ceremony to select the king. The final winner would compete with the old king in a short period of time. The king completed the alternation between powers and became the new son of the empire. Certainly. If the old king only held the trial for the king because of tradition and did not actually want to abdicate and live in seclusion behind the scenes, then the crown prince had no choice but to wait. In the history of the kingdom, there were two situations where the old king was unwilling to abdicate and always occupied the throne. The final result was that the crown prince plotted a rebellion, was ruthlessly suppressed, and was deprived of his position as crown prince. Think about this. Shen Jian's eyes were dark. I hope this old king will be more sensible. Otherwise, he could only seize the royal city violently and ascend to power forcefully. He has secured this throne. Even Jesus could not stop what he said. Subsequently, Shen Jian disappeared into the Duke's mansion. The other side. Northern Territory Duke's mansion. The female player with the ID Jana raised her chin, shook her long legs, and looked out the window numbly. Not far away from her, two other players were sitting on the sofa, their minds empty. Princess Jana, do we still need to leave here now? Why do I feel that this place is safer than anywhere else? A young white man spoke. Yes, I wanted to leave before because the Northern Territory was too dangerous and evil spirits were raging. Now it's better. The Duke is dead, the evil spirits have been wiped out, and the Northern Territory is peaceful. There is no danger at all when leaving here. Hear this. Jana said with a cold face, don't forget, the reason why we feel safe is because someone is protecting us, and as a condition, we need to be an undercover agent to obtain intelligence for the other party. Wait, do you think he needs to care about what other players are doing? The white young man who spoke first interrupted. Jana. She looked startled. Then there was nothing to say. Yes. With Shen Jian's astonishing power in building a Gundam with his own hands in the Ghost Street, players are really no different from ants in his mind. Not to mention that there are only 3 5-star players among the Western players. Even if there are twice as many players, it is impossible to block the towering giant. That is no longer a power that the human body can match. It is the power of the gods. No one without gods can resist. At first, she still didn't understand why Thriller Game said that the other party had destroyed the balance of the game, and even gave a number of compensation rewards to balance the gap between the two parties. But now, she got it. There is no Thriller Game to help them cheat. Even if they join a certain Duke's palace and have a certain reputation and status, they can be easily crushed in the eyes of the opponent. What's more, the mechanics of Thriller games also take time to develop. Whether it is the hard work will reward you permission or the initial favorability at 30, players need to continue to operate and work hard to maximize it. However, the reality is that Shen Jian does not give players any time to develop. In just half a month, they have successively occupied the southern, eastern, and northern territories. The remaining western territories are just a matter of time. In this case, unless the horror game gives them a 50/50ths permission, there will be no compensation rewards. Useless. Think of this. Jana's thoughts wavered. I guess what he wants more is just about the plan of the 12 main gods of the Western world. I remember that this undercover operation was the condition proposed by you, Princess Jana. In my opinion, he doesn't care about this at all. Another middle-aged white man said equally pointedly. It's a bit irritating though. But they had to admit that the Dragon Kingdom player was already inhuman, leaving them Western ghost masters behind. Then they thought about Adolf and the others who were facing a powerful enemy, but the enemy did not take them seriously at all. A word appeared in their minds. Clown. Joker. At the same time, the news about the Northern Territory was brewed and spread throughout the entire kingdom. Shocked. Behind the raging evil spirits in the north, the truth is like this. Whether this is the distortion of human nature or the loss of morality, let's walk into the love and murder between the Duke of the North and the evil ghost. Men will be filled with joy after watching it, and women will cry after watching it. Let us learn more about the man behind the North. 99% of the ghosts have been seen. The fourth prince actually did such a thing in broad daylight. What is hidden behind it? Shocked. The king was shocked after reading this intimate story between the fourth prince and the glorious ghosts and gods. A series of news suddenly spread throughout the four realms and reached the royal city. Overwhelm everyone. I was dumbfounded. Shocked, shocked, shocked every day. Why don't I scare you to death? Northern Territory? Isn't this the territory of the Grand Duke of the Northern Territory? What happened? Ah! The fourth prince appeared in the north again? Why should I say again? Damn it, what's going on with this fourth prince? It's refreshing every day, right? If it doesn't shock me, I'll just be angry for a while. Quite a while. Shocked. Who can tell me if this is true? The fourth prince has occupied the northern border? How many days have he been riding a horse? Isn't it right? The fourth prince killed another duke. Oh my God, the reason why the north has become like this is all caused by the Grand Duke of the North. Wait a minute, people upstairs, have you misunderstood the point? When did the fourth prince become the holy son of Elim Temple? And when did he receive the oracle from the shining ghost god? No one in the temple mentioned it? Ah, is it true or false? For a while. As more things about the north are known, one stone stirs up 1,000 waves. The fourth prince occupied the northern territory and killed the Grand Duke of the Northern Territory. Although this was unexpected, he had a criminal record after all, so he was just shocked. But the fourth prince suddenly transformed and became the holy son of Elim Temple, and also received the oracle from the glorious ghost and god. This was too bizarre. Just like fake. Even in the holy city where the Elim Temple is located, all the believers are more confused. A few months ago, the temple gave birth to an official saint. Now there is even a holy son? Or is he a waste prince who has only recently changed his image? What's going on, Lord Glorious Ghost? High-yielding stuffed sows. One by one. More importantly, the oracle clearly stated that the fourth prince was the most suitable future heir to the Eli Empire. He just pointed at his nose and told the people of the kingdom that except for the fourth prince, everyone else was a stupid pig. Such blatant favoritism makes it difficult to believe that this is truly an oracle. Because this means that the glorious ghost Sama is interfering in the selection of the royal family's heir. It will be interpreted by those who are interested to mean that the divine power intends to interfere with the royal power. The consequences are serious. It would arouse the fear of the royal family, and there might be a war with the Elim Temple. Inside the Temple of Elim, Sister Leah was wearing a holy white nun's uniform, with her head lowered, hands clasped, kneeling in front of the statue, performing some kind of prayer. Aside. A female pastor reported the situation outside one by one. I understand. I will go to the north to find out more. Sister Leah opened her eyes. I looked down and couldn't see my toes. So distressed. After the doctor's hard work day and night some time ago, she always felt heavier. Sister, do you think this behavior is familiar to you? There was a hint of sweetness on Sister Leah's lips. The words fell. The next second, Sister Leah's eyes suddenly turned scarlet. Lila snorted coldly, apart from that stinky man, who else here has the courage to pretend to be a glorious ghost and god and falsely preach an oracle? The last time he was sent in as a priest by the horror game, this time, he was lucky enough to become a prince, but it's hard to change your nature, and I don't know why I came to see you, so let's go and catch the girl. Sister, the doctor is not like that. My stupid sister, Don't forget that Hillis has been coming to the temple to inquire about his situation during this period. If she hadn't been obsessed with him, how could she, the head of the 4 holy families, have the time to come to the temple every day? Lila raised her hand angrily and pointed at her head, full of resentment. This time, if he doesn't give you a title, tell him not to come to see you, and I will beat him out after he does. Finished. Lila disappeared, and the scarlet ghost eyes dissipated. Leah walked out of the temple while comforting her sister. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 872. The fermentation of the incident is out of control. Words such as the 4th prince, Elim temple, and glorious ghosts and gods were mentioned again and again. The ghosts shook. I just feel that the world of this kingdom is about to change. Nothing else. His Royal Highness the 4th Prince is so dazzling. Less than 2 years have passed since the trial for the king, and only half a month after his rise, he has successively occupied the southern border, the eastern border, and the northern border, and one person has monopolized more than half of the territory of the kingdom's continent. To a certain extent, this waste prince's voice has reached the level of the real king. Even in some specific places, the 4th prince's orders are far more useful than the king's. At least in ordering the northern and southern territories, the royal family's voice is weaker than that of the prince. What an incredible thing. It can definitely leave a bright mark in ancient books. Belongs to the most outstanding one among the royal heirs in the past dynasties. All these things can prevent the crowd of ghosts from being noisy and full of emotions. Before doing this, someone told them that it would only take half a month to change everyone's impression of him in the entire kingdom and continent. They didn't believe it and would have scoffed at it. But now, the 4th prince told everyone with ironclad facts that it only takes half a month to turn a waste, playboy, and trash in the eyes of the world into a genius who is famous throughout the kingdom. For a while, many nobles became more active. Especially the royal city. This is the imperial capital of the Eli Empire. The royal family is located here, echoing the holy city where the Elim temple is located next door. They are the 2 largest ghost cities in Luo Fengtian. Although its area is not as large as the 4 realms, the number of nobles is huge. If a brick is thrown down, a large number of barons can be knocked down. At this time, news comes about the north. Immediately attracted the attention of a large number of nobles above the count. They all called out to be from the direct bloodline of the family, especially the female ghosts who were of the right age, unmarried, and whose terror level was at least above that of the Ghost King. They know. The final winner of this kingship trial has basically been locked in the 4th prince. He is the new crown prince and the future king. More importantly, they discovered that the 4th prince was unmarried. Yes. Among the several princes and daughters who participated in the trial for the king, except for the youngest 6th prince and daughter, the rest of the princes were either married or already had fiancés. The only one left was the 4th prince, who was considered a dandy. At that time, the 4th prince had a bad reputation. No big noble was willing to marry his daughter or granddaughter to the other prince, and nobles such as Baron and Viscount did not meet the standards of a prince's fiancé. Because of this, the 4th prince miraculously survived. But now, everything is different. Last time, they failed to provide help in times of need. This time, while the situation is still undecided, the chips will be placed on the 4th prince first. This is the true thought of many great nobles. The other side. Western Territory. Duke's Palace. The eldest prince had lost his previous composure, and his extraordinary face was full of gloom and forlornness. He swept away the precious supernatural porcelain on the desk and dropped it to the ground. The porcelain immediately screamed. Ghostly faces appeared above. Full of pain. It looks like someone deliberately imprisoned the ghosts in the porcelain, binding their lives to the porcelain, causing the ghosts to howl in pieces. Only in this way did the eldest prince's originally gloomy expression show a hint of comfort. The Duke of the West came in. Compared to the eldest prince, he seemed more calm. He was dressed in colorful paper clothes and looked like he was in his 70s. He was very old and full of an ominous atmosphere of decay. It seems as if anyone he sees can be buried in a grave at any time. Even if you don't do anything, just standing there, a heart-stopping supernatural wave will faintly spread out. I told you earlier that you should not delve into these evil arts. Even if you are a ghost, it is forbidden by the royal family to imprison the evil ghost freely and bind its life to the supernatural. Once you are discovered, you will be labeled as an evil ghost. Suspicion. Grandpa, I'm just so angry. That bitch third sister actually mobilized a fleet to forcibly invade the Western Territory. Now all the land within 10 miles of the Western Territory dock has been occupied by her. She obviously plans to seize the Western Territory, and my fourth brother contend. The eldest prince was angry and accused. Does she feel that she can't deal with the fourth brother now, so she can only turn to deal with me? I have become that soft persimmon. Does she take me seriously? As the eldest prince, he has always been the most feared object by other royal brothers and sisters, which makes him always maintain a sense of superiority. But today, the sense of superiority is broken. The third princess would rather attack the Western Territory and invest more supernatural power than go south to attack the Southern and Eastern Territories, which are still in chaos. Doesn't this mean that the third princess thinks the fourth prince is a higher threat than him? How should he accept this result? What made him even more irritated was that he was unable to defeat the three princesses' fleet in the first place. He watched helplessly as the other party took root at the Western Territory pier, as if they were fighting a protracted war to see who could consume more. Under normal circumstances, he would be eager for the third princess to do this. After all, he has the resources of the entire Western Territory, and his grandfather is the largest noble in the Western Territory. In terms of consumption, he is not afraid at all. However, that's normal. Now, things are not normal. Because, behind the western border are the southern border and the eastern border. The fourth prince has already captured the Northern Territory, and his ultimate goal is also the Western Territory. Once a war is launched, the Western Territory will be attacked from both sides. No matter how powerful he is, it is impossible to fight against two royal heirs at the same time. It is only a matter of time before he is defeated. With all these things, how could he not be agitated? Hear this. The Duke of the West couldn't help but sigh. Too fast. The fourth prince's development speed was so fast that they couldn't react at all. If this were not the case, the Queen of the Sea, floating safely on the high seas, would not take measures to seize the Western Territory by force. The root of all this is still the fourth prince. Don't worry, we are not hopeless. The fourth prince has swallowed up the southern, eastern, and northern territories one after another. His wealth must have been squandered. In the short term, we will not send troops to the Western Territory. The only thing we really need to guard against is the third prince's daughter. That's all. However, the deep-sea devil fleet is indeed extraordinary. Compared to our knights, this group of ghost pirates has a more bloodthirsty instinct. Once they get close, it will take at least 3 ghost knights to fight against a fierce and unafraid of death. On par with the ghost pirates. We need more advanced supernatural weapons to kill them when they rush in front of us. The Duke of the West was analyzing these words. Let the eldest prince react immediately. No hesitation. Went directly to the forging room underground in the Duke's mansion. I want the flintlock gun you made. Is it ready? The words fell. In the crowd. The white player with the ID Adolf stood up, his face was ashen, as ugly as his dead father, but the moment he raised his head, he smiled again. Your Highness, the first batch of samples is almost ready. The real flintlock guns will be delivered to you in up to 3 days. Hear the words. The eldest prince was delighted. 3 days is still acceptable to him. 2 days, I will give you 2 days. If you can't let me see the flintlock gun, you will be dead. The eldest prince spoke sadly. In the dim red environment, his expression looked very penetrating, no longer as elegant as before. Rather like a gambler looking forward to a comeback. Yes. With Adolf's respectful attitude, the eldest prince left with satisfaction. Until half a moment. The other players poked their heads out, their faces pale and frightened. Behind them, a simple flintlock gun in the medieval style has been made. But each of them looked like their parents were dead. The atmosphere was extremely heavy. Everyone, you heard it, we only have 2 days left. Adolf spoke first. Hear the words. The atmosphere at the scene became more solid. A white player with a weapon in his hand and a technical madman collapsed and said, 2 days, we are done. This flintlock gun has no lethality at all as imagined. Even if it uses the most expensive supernatural material, the effect is just okay. It only hurts the Ghost King, but with so many supernatural materials, it can create an Abyss Ghost King. There must be something wrong here. The fourth prince's flintlock gun should have something else in it. This thing is the reason why the flintlock gun can kill the top Ghost King. As soon as these words came out, the faces of all the players darkened again. Adolf's expression was the same, extremely ugly. To the eldest prince, he lied. The manufacturing process of a flintlock gun is not difficult for the gun masters. A few days ago, they worked together to create a simple flintlock gun. However, the effect is unsatisfactory. Not to mention killing the Ghost King, the power of the bullet cannot even kill a 4-star player. They don't believe in evil. He also used the most expensive supernatural materials to create a more perfect flintlock gun. This time, it worked. But it can only damage 5-star players. This effect is far different from what they imagined. At this time, they finally understood that the fourth prince's flintlock gun must have some kind of core craftsmanship. This craftsmanship was the real reason why the flintlock gun could kill everyone. Unfortunately, they figured it out too late. Time has been wasted, and they are in the Duke's mansion with no way to escape. I can only watch myself approaching death. This is the most desperate. 2 days later, facing the angry prince, none of them could escape. No matter they were 4-star players or 5-star players, the result was the same. I have supernatural props that can temporarily increase the favorability of a designated person to more than 60 points, but this trust foundation is not stable. I only have 5 minutes. If we can convince the eldest prince within 5 minutes, we still have a glimmer of hope. The black 5-star player with the ID Sam took out a ghost red string with great pain. Then he gave it to Adolf. Nothing else. Among them, Adolf and the eldest prince have the highest favorability, and they also have a compensation reward of add 30 initial favorability. It is up to him to say that it is the most suitable. Adolf was stunned. Then he said, "That's enough. I can transfer the conflict to the fourth prince, saying that the manufacturing process of the flintlock gun lacks a precious supernatural thing. This kind of supernatural thing can only be found in the southern region, and then ask the eldest prince to send someone to if we approach the fourth prince and inquire about its manufacturing process. Even if we are unsuccessful, it will not be our problem." How much discussion. Adolf went to meet the eldest prince with everyone's expectations. At the same time, southern border Duke's mansion. Shen Jian didn't know about all this. All he knew was that he was very popular after returning to the southern border. Seeing him appear, the people of Eagle City were excited. This move made Shen Jian secretly speechless. The favorability of the people of the southern territory towards him already reached over 50 points. he was a little surprised that 50 points of favorability could achieve this without choosing to advance the relationship. After all, on the favorability panel, what he does most is conquer female ghosts. As for other functions, he really didn't pay attention to them. Now it seems that it is not bad. Thinking, Shen Jian returned to the Duke's mansion. A figure carefully pulled him into a deserted corner and pressed him against the wall. He took a look. She was the female knight who was instigated by him to rebel against the eldest princess's sister-in-law. What's wrong? Big deal, what have you done? The eldest prince just sent a message, saying that he asked the eldest princess to seduce you and learn the manufacturing process of the flintlock gun. Ah! Shen Jian tilted his head, his eyes filled with astonishment. The eldest prince has some kind of habit of giving gifts to his wife? Or give it to your brother-in-law? Is there such a good thing? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 873. This time, Shen Jian was really confused. There was full surprise in his eyes. Could it be that the eldest prince is out of his mind? Otherwise, why would he let the eldest princess come to seduce him? What is the difference between letting a sheep go to a tiger to discuss how to drive away the wolf? The main thing is to give it away for free, right? What happened? Shen Jian asked curiously. The female knight took one look and knew that the man who coveted his sister-in-law was thinking wrongly. She snorted, "What are you thinking?" "It's not the same thing, but it's almost the same," said. She handed over the human skin paper. "Eldest prince, there is an urgent task for you to handle. As long as you can complete this task, I will definitely get the position of crown prince, then I can legitimately accept you as the princess." Shen Jian clicked his tongue. This cake is really big and round. Female knight, your highness, tell me. Eldest prince, you ask the princess to seduce the fourth prince, ask him to take you to the manufacturing site of the flintlock gun, and transmit everything you see back, but remember, you cannot let the princess leave your sight once the fourth prince has. If there is excessive behavior, you should interrupt it immediately. Female knight, your highness, the princess may not be willing. First prince, she will agree, just tell her that you are helping me. If I lose, everything will be over. On the contrary, she only needs to please the fourth prince and win the manufacturing process, and we can go against the wind comeback. Not to mention I have arranged for people to be by her side. If the fourth prince wants to use force, I will send people to stop it. First prince, you think of a way to convince the princess. According to what I said, she will agree. After all, I and the Belkia family have a mutually beneficial relationship. If I am eliminated, the new king will succeed. The Belkia family that supports me will definitely be suppressed in the future. Whether it is for me or her family, she will agree. Female knight, I understand. The message ends here. Shen Jian was amazed when he saw it. My eyes lit up. Wonderful. According to his original plan, when the eldest princess's sister-in-law's favorability towards him reaches above 70 points, he will tell the truth about the eldest prince secretly sending people to monitor her, so as to create a gap between the two of them, so that he can take advantage of it. But now, even this step is omitted. As soon as the eldest prince's plan came out, the relationship between the two completely reached a freezing point. Without any effort on his part, the couple was already estranged from each other. The difficulty of the strategy can be said to have plummeted. Speaking of which, he had to thank the eldest prince for making such a stupid move. But what was the reason that led the eldest prince to resort to such a method of having the green prairie on his head? Shen Jian pondered for a moment. Glancing at the chat interface, the news focused on making a flintlock gun for the eldest prince, and combined with the eldest prince's purpose of letting the princess seduce him, he began to think deeply. Could this be the player's divine assist? Calculating time, it is not difficult to create a simple flintlock gun with the perspective of this group of players that transcends the background of the times and the technology that has been advanced for hundreds of years. Looking at it this way, he estimated that the group of Western players had discovered that the power of the flintlock gun was not as terrifying as they imagined. According to normal logic, the other party would definitely suspect that the fourth prince's flintlock gun had other manufacturing techniques. The purpose of the eldest prince in letting his good sister-in-law seduce him is very obvious. That is to obtain the manufacturing process that is integral to this part. Think of this. Shen Jian understood in his heart. Although it was a guess, he was basically certain that this was the truth of the matter. Do you want to tell the princess? Seeing that Shen Jian didn't move, the female knight asked tentatively. His eyes were twinkling. To be honest, although she felt that it was the eldest Princess Ainiya who influenced her to take the position of princess, the eldest prince's current behavior was indeed not that of a man. He is actually willing to let his own woman seduce his younger brother. Even if she is allowed to monitor, she will inevitably interrupt the fourth prince's excessive behavior at all times, but this just proves another meaning: as long as it is not excessive, it is all part of the plan. According to her understanding of the eldest prince, this so-called excessiveness probably refers to the pleasure between men and women. In other words, as long as it does not go to the last step, it is acceptable in the eyes of the eldest prince. Such a man is not someone who can be trusted at all. In the eyes of the other party, the throne is much more important than women. For the sake of the throne, women can be given away. Shen Jian waved his hand. Not now. Being too hasty will make people feel that it has been planned for a long time. Even if it really destroys the relationship between Brother Wang and his sister-in-law, it will not be good for me. Think about it. Shen Jian still gave up this tempting decision. Of course, he also knew that the content on the human skin paper was a killer, but this content alone might be able to destroy the relationship between the two people, but it had no effect on him. On the contrary, this is likely to cause the sister-in-law to have extreme thoughts. I think all men are unreliable. By then, it would be too difficult to open the heart of this good sister-in-law. Then, Shen Jian asked, what reason did you use to let her stay? The female knight curled her lips and said, I said you asked me to do an important thing, which is related to the safety of the southern border. I may not be able to go back in a short time. Then I gave up the princess's idea, but, if you dare to go again, the frivolous princess, she will probably leave me and go back directly. Shen Jian. Let me see. He didn't answer. But it's vague. See this. The female knight was full of unwillingness. How is she worse than the princess? Isn't it just that the background is a bit different? Isn't it just that the appearance is a little different? Isn't it just that my skin is two different shades different? Isn't it just too fierce and not delicate enough to push? All right. She admitted that compared with the dazzling Princess Ainiya, she was indeed a little behind. But that doesn't mean she's bad, it's just that the eldest princess is too strong. Otherwise, from the perspective of the eldest prince, how could he be ambiguous with her? If she is said to be the first class, then the eldest princess is the super class. And she is not inferior to the princess in any aspect. At least at this point, she's way ahead. Thoughts are spinning. The female knight boldly came over, stood on tiptoes, took a bite on Shen Jian's cheek, and then breathed blue into Shen Jian's ear. Your Highness, no one knows my current whereabouts. Even if I disappear for a day or two, no one will notice anything unusual. I am the sword in your hand, cutting off all the thorns for you, but sometimes, the sword body also needs a certain amount of maintenance before it can be taken out of the sheath and kill people. These words. Hearing this made Shen Jian's blood boil. Have you forgotten what I said? What are you going to call me? Hear the words. The female knight bit her lower lip, her eyes not to mention how seductive she was. She said charmingly, "Master, please ravage me, meow." This meow completely ignited Shen Jian. He picked up the little wheat-colored wildcat, and in a blink of an eye, he was back in the bedroom that was in a state of disarray. "Put it away." Meow. An even more seductive meow came from the mouth of this female knight. The sound is scratchy. For a long time, the little wildcat is overwhelmed. Her identity, status, and appearance are not as good as those of the eldest Princess Aini Ya, but she has one biggest advantage, that is, she is good at learning. Including how to please a man and how to make him unable to live without her is also within her learning atmosphere. Last time. Because it was the first time, her skills were not very good, and Shen Jian was the one taking the lead. But this time, she made rapid progress. There is a ventriloquist in the capital, which refers to her. As expected. Now that it has been used in actual combat for the first time, it has produced unexpected results. Unfortunately, she was a little too proud. In the second actual battle, they were quickly defeated. The quilt cover at the corner of the bed was tightly clenched by her and twisted into a ball. The yin qi was constantly draining away, much faster than she imagined. Wait for Shen Jian to open his eyes again. It is already the third day since returning from the north. He walked out of the bedroom refreshed, asked the maid to prepare a stomach-nourishing breakfast and sent it here, and then came to his exclusive study room. There are two office locations in the study. One big and one small. One is positive and the other is biased. The big one belongs to him, and the small one belongs to the ghost scribe Kali Till. Shen Jian looked around. On the side seat, Kali Tyre was handling the affairs of the Duke's palace seriously. She wore a noble purple dress that highlighted her straight figure. Her long, soft ice blue hair was scattered on her smooth shoulders, making her look perfect. The skin as white as snow is more crystal clear, coupled with the delicate and serious facial features, under the slanting light of the morning sun, there is a beautiful expectation of hope to be fixed at this moment. Hear sounds. The ghost secretary raised his head, his sky-blue eyes like the vast ocean blinked slightly, his face showed a hint of surprise, he stood up suddenly, but he didn't know what he thought of, stopped his body, and said, "Long time ago I got the information that you came back a day ago, but you didn't see anyone the whole day. Did you go to that countess place again to fool around? Your Highness, your status is no longer the same as before. Before, you were indulgent and no one would come to see you. But now you are the lord of the three realms and the future king considered by the people of the kingdom. If you disappear for a day, it is a sign of neglect. If you do this again in the future, you will be impeached." Her words were very formal, like a subject's admonishment to the emperor, but Shen Jian could still see her true emotions from the small movements of the other party's mouth and the slight raise of her eyebrows. It was a complex emotion that was mixed with jealousy and had no name. It was the only way to express one's inner dissatisfaction. Shen Jian's expression changed. Ghost scribe Kali Till. Current status, jealous, conflicted, entangled, complicated. Favorability, 72, ambiguous. See it? Shen Jian smiled and said, "I still have you. It's because of you that I can leave with peace of mind. If it were someone else, I wouldn't dare to hand over all the secrets. Hear this." A flash of joy flashed in Kali Tyre's eyes, but he still stood there reservedly, pursed his lips and said, "When your highness succeeds to the throne in the future, there will be a large number of people in the royal city who are more powerful than me. By then, my role will be its limited." Shen Jian didn't hesitate at all. He opened his mouth to guarantee, "No, the person I trust the most is always you. No one can gain my 100% trust except you. Even if I become the king, The Prime Minister of this country will not be someone else, but you. The words fell. Shen Jian could clearly see that the favorability panel was constantly refreshing. Favorability add 1. Favorability add 1. Favorability add 1. Your Highness. The ghost secretary looked at the fourth prince in front of him dreamily. Her eyes were full of watery tenderness, as if they were about to melt a person. But soon, she shook her head vigorously. Adjusting his thoughts, he got down to business. Your Highness, I just got the news that the eldest prince and the third princess have started a war, and the battle for the Western Territory has officially begun. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 874. Hear the news. Shen Jian was not surprised at all, and even showed a bit of excitement. Really? Just as he had guessed, the three princesses had already arrived in the west and started a battle with the eldest prince. He had already noticed this when he discovered that the high seas had been deserted. Now that he heard the ghost secretary's information, his speculation was officially confirmed. What happened? Tell me in detail. Shen Jian gestured. Ghost scribe Kali Tyre also understood the seriousness of the matter. Now was not the time to tell each other about their love. Immediately, she sorted out the information and explained, just the day before your highness left for the north, there was news. The news coming back from the Eastern Territory was from the noble Freemasons of the Eastern Territory. It was said that drastic changes had taken place in the Western Territory. A few nights ago, hundreds of black sailing ships quietly appeared at the Western Territory pier through unknown supernatural means and occupied it in one fell swoop. Got here. According to rough statistics, there are at least 50,000 ghost pirates armed with supernatural weapons who broke into the territory of the Western Territory and dragged them into the inland in an organized and disciplined manner. In just one night, all the land with a radius of 20 kilometers centered on the western port was occupied. The town of Bohai was completely occupied and the evil flag was planted. After confirmation, it was indeed the deep sea led by the three princesses. Devil's Fleet. Moreover, such fleets of black sailboats are still appearing in a steady stream, seemingly endlessly. The title of Queen of the Sea is worthy of her name. Kali Til said sincerely. The deeds of the third prince's daughter are undoubtedly a powerful shot in the arm for female ghosts like them, who have noble births but have been overshadowed by their glory. Before the fourth prince rises, the winner of the trial for the king in her mind is also the same. She is the third princess. But now, everything is different. Think of this. She glanced at Shen Jian cautiously, and a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, but she quickly stopped and looked away, as if she thought that this way, Shen Jian would not find herself secretly looking at him. Shen Jian was a little funny. Pretending not to see it, he allowed this noble lady to secretly make small moves. Then he continued, "Where is the eldest prince?" Kali Tyre thought for 2 seconds and said neatly, "In the early morning, under the call of the Duke of the West, the noble group headed by the eldest prince organized a powerful counterattack and defeated the three princesses' continued aggressive expansion. Retreating to the small town of Bohai, the two parties divided the Chu River and Han boundaries and started to confront each other. In just 5 days, the two sides have engaged in no less than 30 battles. Each time they were evenly matched, and both sides suffered heavy losses, especially the three princesses' deep-sea devil fleet, because each time they launched a fierce and fearless attack. Although the attack was astonishing in momentum, the damage was also huge, and the casualties were basically at the level of 1:1.3. If this trend continues, unless the third princess has more than twice as many troops as the western region, the longer it takes, the easier it will be to die here. After listening, Shen Jian frowned slightly. So crazy. Yes, some people have said that the third princess has been driven crazy by you and is giving it a try. If she cannot defeat the defense line of the Western Territory, all the supernatural knowledge she has accumulated over the years will eventually be revealed here, with the Western Territory. Let's die together. Shen Jian. His frown deepened. Because the logic here is not quite right. This third princess is so crazy that she does not care about the cost. This should not be the strategy of a sea queen who has a unique vision, planned in advance, and unified the high seas in just 1 year. After all, even if the third Prince Jurchen really believed in success or failure and defeated the defense line of the Western Territory, didn't she think that there was a covetous fourth prince who was reaping the benefits? Regardless of the cost, we can only die together in the end, or else we will win tragically, and there will be no supernatural secrets left. Even if we win the Western Territory, we will not be able to hold it. Unless she was absolutely sure that she could hold the Western Territory after taking it. Shen Jian was thoughtful. What can be more powerful than the huge army of ghosts, apart from more troops, is only the absolute high-end combat power. In the Yilai Empire, ghosts and gods are already at the peak of their combat power, such as the Grand Duke of the North, who is one of the best. However, even the Duke of the North, who is infinitely close to the world-destroying ghosts and gods, dare not say that he can withstand an army of more than 70,000 to 80,000 powerful ghosts. In other words, the goal of the third princess is still above this. World-destroying ghosts and gods. She planned to create a true world-destroying ghost and god. And the medium is a blood sacrifice. Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. I have an idea in my mind. The word blood sacrifice was not unfamiliar to him. Especially this kind of blood sacrifice that creates ghosts and gods and above. He only knows of 2 examples. The first example is naturally King Huai's massacre in the town of Yanjai Kingdom, and he is preparing to use the method of blood sacrifice soul pill to advance to the level of ghosts and gods. The second example was when he entered the Qing Kingdom dungeon for the second time. King Pingnan and Emperor Qing joined forces to make a plan, preparing to blood sacrifice the entire Qing Kingdom and advance to the legendary disaster level ghosts and gods. And now, it's the third example. The 3 princesses prepared a blood sacrifice to advance to the level of world-destroying ghosts and gods. Shen Jian's eyes flashed inexplicably. Because this method of blood sacrificial soul elixir is very likely to be related to the Buddhist kingdom of Luo Fengtian in the 4th place. Have the 3 princesses ever come into contact with the Buddhist kingdom? Or did it get it from King Guo through some means? Thinking. Shen Jian's face already showed a look of imminence. This Buddhist country is extremely hidden. He also has far more control over thriller games than he imagined. They can all have free access to archived copies, and the Buddha kingdom can naturally do so as well. Even if the third princess had come into contact, it would not be surprising. Not to mention, he also wished that the 3 princesses had frequent exchanges with the Buddhist kingdom. In this case, he would follow the clues and enter the 4th place, Luo Fengtian. The importance of this matter will never be recycled again under Luo Fengtian. Have you thought of anything? Seeing Shen Jian's pensive expression, Kali Tir asked curiously. Shen Jian didn't hide it either. Speak out his thoughts. At once. The noble lady's pupils trembled and she couldn't help but said, You mean, Her Royal Highness the Third Princess is going to use this battle for the Western Territory to step on the corpses to advance to the legendary world-destroying ghosts and gods? No, except for the one in the temple, but no world-destroying ghost god has been born in the Eli Empire for a long time. I remember that it was only in the past 5 years that the 3 princesses were promoted to ghosts and gods. What kind of supernatural method can make a ghost who has just entered the ghosts and gods directly advance to the world-destroying level? Kali Til felt dizzy. If it wasn't the 4th prince who said this, she wouldn't even believe it. This is incredible. Shen Jian was non-committal. The corner of his mouth curled up, yes or no, just go and take a look. Anyway, I plan to join the war. Kali Till. She was slightly startled. Then his face changed. Your Highness, you are not going to go alone again, are you? Please forgive me for being difficult to obey. Other times, you can just be willful. But in the western region, there is a gladiatorial arena where tens of thousands of ghosts often participate, and you are alone. It's too dangerous to go. Shen Jian waved his hand. What are you thinking about? This time we will bring everyone with us to end this 2-year struggle for the throne. His voice was flat, but the confidence in his words spread from the inside out. The eyes of Secretary Di Gui were filled with brilliance. No doubt. She just likes the current fourth prince. Flamboyant, confident, and full of charm, just standing there has a unique temperament that looks down on the world. This kind of temperament cannot be faked. People can be attracted to him at a glance. Coupled with the blonde hair and golden eyes that were different from normal ghosts, the tall and straight figure, and the handsome and clear facial features, she felt that no woman in the world could resist such charm. Your Highness, the entire Southern Territory and Eastern Territory will be at your disposal. I will also take down the throne that symbolizes power for you, Your Highness, and dedicate everything I have to you. Kali Tyre knelt down on one knee, his clear voice solemn and serious. Shen Jian smiled. He joked, you were much more dishonest last time than this time. The ghost secretary looked embarrassed and said coquettishly, Your Highness, that is really the tradition of the Kali family. I did not deliberately take advantage of you. If you don't believe it, then I will let you kiss me back. Said. She raised her little face, moved her delicate white face forward, and closed her eyes. It's like I took advantage of you, so you can take advantage of me. See this. Shen Jian's eyes were filled with strange color. Walked over. The tone was incomprehensible. Have I ever told you what it means to close your eyes in front of a man? What, Kali Tyre looked confused and was about to open her eyes when she felt a touch of warmth on her lips. Let her swallow the words she just blurted out and make a sound of aha. That moment. She opened her eyes suddenly, her mind going blank. Your Highness, kissed her? Isn't it a kiss on the face? Dion, She wanted to speak, but her mouth was blocked and she couldn't speak. A wonderful feeling swept through her body. Her whole body became limp and she felt dizzy. Her nose was filled with the strong scent of His Highness the Fourth Prince, and she subconsciously responded to this enthusiasm. It hit me all of a sudden. For a long time. Shen Jian just let go. This noble lady's face was confused at this time, and her breath was full of heat. From her cheeks to her earlobes to her collarbone, everything was crimson. Your Majesty, you have committed a foul. The ghost secretary lowered his head, not daring to look at Shen Jian's expression, and muttered quietly. The kiss I gave you before was obviously just on the face. She didn't say the sentence out loud, she just said it silently in her heart. Because she felt that it was not bad to make mistakes like this, especially when the candidate was the fourth prince, she had no strength to resist at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have responded boldly to Shen Jian's enthusiasm. See this scene? Shen Jian said solemnly, how about I let you kiss me again? This should be considered a tie. At this time. Crunch. The study door was pushed open. The ghost town mayor held up the information in his hand and said loudly, Master Kali, here is. Before he finished speaking, he stopped abruptly. Because the ghost town mayor discovered that besides Kali Tyre, His Royal Highness the Fourth Prince was also in the study. And the two seemed a little close to each other. He could clearly see that Master Kali's face was full of blush, which lingered for a long time, and his breathing became even more rapid. Ghost Mayor. He paused. With an expression uglier than crying on his face, he immediately exited the study and silently closed the door. Before leaving, He also said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Your Highness, Mr. Kali, you don't need to pay attention to me, I didn't see anything just now." Finished. Snapped. The door is closed. Kali till, end of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 875. Finally. The ghost mayor returned to the study. He was about to cry but had no tears. He lowered his head and did not dare to look into the eyes of His Royal Highness the Fourth Prince. If Nyangzipai had known that something inappropriate for children had happened here, she would not have dared to break in even if she had 10 courages. He clearly knew what a cruel person this fourth prince was. At the same time, he couldn't help but feel a bit of admiration. Although the fourth prince had been deliberately pretending for more than 10 years, how could he not be tainted with a bit of absurd and indulgent character after pretending for more than 10 years? Needless to say, there is no need to say more about the countess. Now, even the daughter of the Duke of the Kali family, one of the 4 holy families, seems to be on the verge of falling. In a non-private place like the study room, they dare to do intimate things secretly. He is indeed worthy of being the fourth prince. Dare to be the first. He is simply a role model for our generation. Tell me, what's the matter? Shen Jian's face didn't turn red, his heart didn't beat, he looked calm, and he didn't feel any shame at all for being discovered. After all, he had done more extreme husbands in the current series, not to mention he was just a pure man. Of kiss. The ghost town mayor explained, since the war between the 3 princesses and the eldest prince broke out in the Western Territory, Master Kali ordered the Eastern and Southern Territories to produce flintlock guns at all costs. I am here to report the results. According to statistics, there are as many as 13,000 flintlock guns. We have also selected 30,000 red-clad ghosts who have undergone simple training and can master the accuracy of firearms. There are also 3,000 ghost kings and 300 ghosts. Abyss-level ghost kings, as well as more than 60 top ghost kings, are always on standby. Speaking of which, the ghost mayor's face couldn't help but blush. He is just the most ordinary ghost king, the owner of a 3-star supernatural land. Looking at the entire southern border, there are countless ghosts like him. They can only guard their own 1/3 of an acre and cannot make any waves in the trend of history. But now, everything has changed. Just because he was the original team member before the rise of the fourth prince, and took care of many matters throughout the process, after the fourth prince rose up and captured the Southern Territory and the Eastern Territory, the position of logistics manager also fell to him. This allowed him to control an army of nearly 40,000 fierce ghosts. What is this called? When one person attains enlightenment, chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. He is now the head of logistics. When the fourth prince wins the king trial and sits on the supreme throne, he will be the finance minister who rules the country. He will be a highly respected minister, at least a powerful marquis, and maybe even a grand duke. Such an honor depends entirely on Shen Jian. It can be said. In the entire duke's palace, he was the one who wanted Shen Jian to win the most. To this end, he does everything himself and doesn't dare to slack off at all. Hear the words. A trace of surprise flashed across Shen Jian's face. 13,000 flintlock muskets, in just a few days, the efficiency is amazing. According to his original idea, only 10,000 flintlock guns were needed to sweep across the entire kingdom and continent. No matter the 4 realms, the royal family, or the 4 holy families, they could not resist the heat of modernization. Dimensionality reduction strike of weapons. Now, in just over half a month, he had already exceeded his original goal. Sure enough, conquering cities and territories is the fastest way to develop. Without the backing of the Eastern Territory, and relying solely on the size of the Southern Territory that has not yet been completely unified, it is not necessarily possible to build a king's army in a very short period of time. Very good. Shen Jian nodded with satisfaction, looked out the floor-to-ceiling window, and grinned. Come on, how can this battle for the Western Territory be without me? This boring trial for the king is over. Shen Jian stretched out his hand. One grip. The entire kingdom continent seemed to be in his hands. Every move he held was a look of disdain. Behind, Kali Til, the ghost town mayor, was shocked. This is a historic moment. They are witnessing history, witnessing the new master of this country, issuing a declaration of victory from the southern border 100,000 miles away, to make this huge empire operate according to his own will. Your Highness, you will be crowned king and become the son of the empire. The two knelt down on one knee. Western Territory. The dispute continues. Bohai Town. This once prosperous western pier has now become a meat-grinding ground. The ground is dyed a sticky blood red, and the sky is also dyed red. Ghost blood is steaming, and the red mist fills the air, condenses into clouds, and spreads over the town. It rained blood. On the battlefield, there were corpses everywhere, and broken limbs and arms were everywhere. Filled with a pungent fishy smell. Even the ghost, who is known for his cruelty, frequently frowned and his eyes turned red when faced with the smell that was so strong that it stimulated the senses. The eldest prince's sighed. The eldest prince looked excited, with a few rays of red light coming out of his eyes, and said ferociously, "Continue to send troops. Since my third sister wants to fight, I will fight a big one. I want to see whether she has more troops or mine reinforcements come soon." The Duke of the Western region was aging, but his eyes filled with decay were getting wider and wider, with a permeating coldness condensing in them. "Your Highness, the situation is not right, we cannot continue the fight." The eldest prince frowned dissatisfied. "Grandpa, the three princes have already attacked me. If you ask me to retreat now, wouldn't you be saying that I am not hostile to the other party and encouraging others' arrogance? Your Highness, calm down. Haven't you noticed that your actions are becoming more and more radical and reckless? There is also an army of evil ghosts outside. Each one is very bellicose and will ignite at the slightest moment. I'm afraid who said the last word. When a war breaks out, they will rush forward immediately without looking at who is giving the order. Your Highness, do you really think this is normal?" The Duke of the Western region scolded him coldly. The terrifying supernatural threat broke out in an instant. The temperature on site plummeted. The intense chill also stimulated the eldest prince to tremble violently. The red light in his eyes gradually faded. His expression became extremely horrified. I was affected by something supernatural." His horror was by no means feigned. But it was really shocking to know. As the eldest prince, he is also one of the most promising princes to win the king's trial. He is surrounded by more than 20 top ghost kings all year round, including a ghost-level being. Especially after arriving in the small town of Bohai, he followed his grandfather, the Duke of the Western region, almost every step of the way. Under such circumstances, his thinking was actually affected by unknown supernatural beings, and his thoughts became more and more belligerent and more radical, thinking about having a good fight. This is obviously not normal. It can even be said to be terrifying. After all, the Duke of the West didn't notice anything unusual. This is the most creepy thing. An existence that is infinitely close to a world-destroying ghost, and God cannot find the source of the supernatural. What a joke. His third prince sister actually has such weird supernatural means. Grandpa, what's going on? Can't you even detect the source? The eldest prince asked immediately. The Duke of the West said solemnly, "Not at all. If you and other nobles hadn't behaved more and more abnormally, I wouldn't have noticed it now. Excluding the possibility that the supernatural source is more terrifying than me, the only answer left is yes, this supernatural spread has a huge range, and I suspect that it has radiated to the entire town of Bohai. After listening, the eldest prince's pupils shrank. Has the supernatural influence spread beyond Bohai town? The small town of Bohai is more than 20 kilometers away, and it is also nearly 10 kilometers away from his defense line. Doesn't this mean that this unknown supernatural influence has spread over 30 kilometers? How can this be? Even the ghost realm of ghosts and gods cannot cover such a large area. Not to mention, if this was a ghost realm, how could the Duke of the West not be aware of the source at all? In other words, this is not a ghost land. Rather, it is simply the spread of supernatural beings. This kind of supernatural diffusion usually only appears in the land of Yin Qi, and some special supernatural objects can also spread this effect. But this spread is limited in scope. The maximum coverage is more than a few hundred meters. 30 kilometers away, what level of supernatural thing is this? In other words, it is not certain whether there is such a level of supernatural being. The eldest prince did not believe that 3 princesses and 1 princess could possess such a supernatural thing that was not available in the entire Ili Empire. Grandpa, what should we do now? These 3 sisters came prepared at first glance. She used this supernatural thing to secretly influence the thinking of all of us, intending to make us only know how to fight. There must be something else behind it. Planning must be guarded against. The Duke of the West nodded. There was also some fearful thought in my heart. Where did these 3 princesses come from? Such weird and supernatural things could actually make him, a ghost and god who is infinitely close to the world-destroying level, be attacked without warning. If he hadn't been at an extremely high level of terror, he would have fallen into the situation long ago. In a feverish fighting spirit, he became a reckless man who only knew how to fight to the death regardless of the consequences. Even ordinary world-destroying ghosts and gods cannot display such silent supernatural powers. You have to be an existence on the same level as the glorious ghosts and gods to have this ability. But he can be sure that this is definitely not the method of the glorious ghosts and gods. Otherwise, he would not have the desire to fight now, but would want to kneel down and sing conquest. Recall everyone. The lower the terror level, the more necessary it is to recall. I have just seen that the ghosts below the top Ghost King have been deeply affected. Each one is like a powder keg, exploding at a moment. Even the top Ghost King has been deeply affected in his heart. The endless fighting spirit is eroding, and their sanity is greatly reduced. As long as someone agrees, they will probably rush forward. The eldest prince nodded. Understand the seriousness of the matter. He was glad that he still had a Duke of the Western region by his side, otherwise by the time he found out, the entire army of ghosts in the Western region would have already turned into an irrational killing machine. However, just when he was about to give the order, an impassioned voice sounded one step ahead of him. Brothers, charge! Show your blood and ferocity and let that damn woman know that all the men in the Western region are good. Come on! Roar! Be more ferocious! The words fell. The army of ghosts from the Western territory, which had already been ready to attack, burst out with astonishing roars under the encouragement and shouts. Their eyes were scarlet and they rushed forward with ferocious laughter. A mighty killing spree towards the small town of Bohai. The great prince. He was confused. Is this his voice? Nima. He didn't speak. Who is talking about this horse? I'm talking about your uncle. For a while, the eldest prince's face turned green. Shocked. But he reacted quickly. Now is not the time to look for people. The top priority is to issue the order to retreat and stop the army of ghosts in the west. Then, he also shouted, "Stop, as the great prince of the Ili Empire, I order you to stop." It was not me who gave the order just now, there was a traitor at work. The sound came rolling in. It gave some top ghost kings some clarity in their minds. The eldest prince was delighted. There is hope. That's what I thought. The next second, the voice sounded again, with full teasing and teasing in its tone, as if watching a good show. This stupid man actually prevented the brothers from making contributions. He must be scared and wanted to retreat, so he pretended to be the eldest prince and issued an order. His heart should be punished, kill him, he is shaking the morale of the army. Finished. The ghosts were filled with fighting spirit. He screamed. Yes. The idiot who pretended to be the eldest prince just now must not have wanted to die, so he would say such words. Otherwise, why would men from the West be afraid of a woman? This would not be a joke. How could a person with such thoughts of greed for life and fear of death be from the Western region? Traitor. That's definitely a traitor. Immediately, the eyes of the ghosts all fell on the eldest prince. The scarlet ghost stared intently, choosing people to eat. The eldest prince. Grass. At this moment, his face has been twisted into a purple color. In the eyes of the tens of thousands of fierce ghosts who wanted to tear him apart, they did not dare to say anything. Because under the influence of unknown supernatural forces, this group of evil ghosts only had overwhelming fighting spirit. Anyone who dared to violate this principle would be attacked. Especially when there was a bitch hiding in the dark to boost his morale. In this case, if he said another irony, he believed that these ghosts would definitely tear him apart. Mad. What kind of bamboo shoot is this? Better stay off the horse and let me find you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 876. Seeing the mighty elite forces from the west heading toward Bohai town, the eldest prince's heart continued to sink. His face turned green. This is all the living force that the Western Territory can mobilize so far, and there are less than 60,000 ghost soldiers left in total. If they were all destroyed, the Western region would be doomed. But faced with the overwhelming fighting spirit of the nearly 60,000 ghost soldiers, and the look of those who chose to devour those who would die without fighting, he opened his mouth, but nothing could be said. He could only look around with a distorted face, and said sullenly, "Who are you?" "The people from San Wangmei's side." "What is your purpose?" "You are here to see me, right? Now all the guards around me have been transferred, it's time to come out." "Come out, you piece of shit!" the eldest prince roared. That extraordinary face was as ugly as eating shit. He is the majestic prince of the Eli Empire, the most anticipated heir to the throne, and a powerful top ghost king, infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods. When has he ever been tricked like this? This is exactly like a dung beetle lighting up a lantern, looking for death. What? You hide your head and show your tail, don't you dare to show up. The eldest prince spoke again. For a long time, no reaction was seen. A ghost realm emerged, and the figure of the Duke of the West suddenly appeared. He was also surprised and said, "Your Highness, this person seems to have left long ago and is not here at all." The eldest prince. He couldn't hold himself any longer. "Did you guess wrong? That person didn't come to find him. He just howled twice and led his team to kill Bohai town. Damn it, did you miss the point? Among those evil ghosts, I am the most important, okay? You don't want to find me, but you insist on joining in the fun. What kind of weird brain circuit is this? You make me seem like I'm talking to myself, it's so stupid." The eldest prince's mouth twitched slightly. His face was full of embarrassment. Changing the subject very bluntly, "Grandpa, where did you go just now?" The Duke of the West didn't think too much about his eldest grandson's mental journey, but said with fear, The moment that person spoke out, I used the ghost domain and planned to invade the opponent's hidden ghost domain node, but I found that even if I used the ghost realm to exile myself to the limit, and I couldn't find the opponent's figure. This shows that the other party is either a ray of supernatural medium, or has exiled itself in a ghost realm node that is difficult for me to reach. I suspect that it is the second seed. The Duke of the West hesitated for a while and said with some difficulty. The eyes of the dead and decaying ghosts were full of trance. Hear this. The eldest prince's expression also changed. Exile from the ghost realm is not a ghost realm skill that only cats and dogs can learn. Those who can master this supernatural method are at least ghosts and gods, and ordinary ghosts and gods cannot. His grandfather, the Duke of the West, was an existence that was infinitely close to the world-destroying ghosts and gods. He could banish his own coordinates to the fourth layer of space, giving people the illusion that he was clearly standing there, but could not be touched, let alone attacked. When it comes to this ghost realm exile alone, there is almost no one in the entire Ili Empire who is more proficient than his grandfather. And now, the Duke of the West actually said that there was someone who was far more proficient in banishing the ghost realm than he was. How could this happen? What happened to this world? First, the third sister took out a heaven-defying supernatural object that could influence the thinking of the ghost on a large scale and silently. Now there was an unknown and terrifying existence, and even his grandfather could not find its figure. If this was used to assassinate him, wouldn't he have no ability to resist at all? This is so humming outrageous. Is the world changing too much, or are you two simply cheating? Did Doot Meow not care about the reactions of ordinary people? I want to open it too. Thinking. The eldest prince turned pale and said, then what should we do now? For the current plan, we can only follow. No matter who this person is, he will eventually reveal his true colors. What's more, we also want to know what the three princesses are planning to see if we can kill these ghost soldiers. Bring them all back, otherwise, the Western Territory will be in danger. At the same time, Bohai Town. Calculate the time. My fake benevolent brother should also realize that something is wrong. The spire of a tall tower. The semi-sloping spire design makes it almost impossible to stand. However, sitting up here was a woman who was not powerful and angry. Her long dark golden hair exuded a faint starlight under the light, and her deep golden eyes were half opened, feeling an indescribable sense of oppression when staring at people. This person is none other than the third princess. In terms of characteristics, she is no different from other royal heirs. What really distinguishes her is her unique floating color. The Queen of the Sea floats on the high seas all year round. Her skin is wheat-colored and very rough. She is not as white and delicate as the noble lady, and she looks wild. Just like a real pirate. There is absolutely no aristocratic temperament. Only those eyes were filled with the flame of ambition. She lowered her head slightly and stared at a strange ghost Buddha lamp in her hand. The Buddha lamp is composed of an oil base and human-headed lotus petals. Stars of flame light up between the human heads. Every time it lights up, a string of permeating Buddhist sounds are heard in the human heads. The oil seat only has a thin layer of red liquid lamp oil, which cannot support long-term burning. On the side of the three princesses, there is a meticulous and handsome man standing on the top of the tower. He is the fiancé of the three princes, the eldest son of the Eno family, one of the four holy families, and the future holy duke. Now he is owned by this princess. Deeply attracted, he followed her to the high seas and was willing to give up everything in his family. I think it's almost the same. Even if the eldest prince can't find it, the Duke of the West will be alert and want to continue to obtain more lamp oil. I'm afraid it won't be that easy. The man said softly. The Duke of the West has a conservative personality and does not attack easily. Now he has discovered the supernatural influence everywhere on the battlefield. With his personality, retreat is the only option. Even if he loses more territory, it is better than losing it all here. The third princess smoothed her hair that was blown by the wind, feeling a little regretful. It's a pity, if you want to light up this ghost and put a lamp, this western region is indispensable. Just saying. When a piece of news came, both of them were slightly startled. All the elite forces in the Western Territory gave up guarding the defense line and turned to kill them all. The man read it lightly, feeling a little incredible. He had just said that the Duke of the Western Territory was conservative and would not attack easily, but now he told him that all the elites of the Western Territory were mobilized and came out in full force, with the attitude of a battle will determine the outcome. Gan. Can you give me some face? I think it's acceptable if you slow down for a day or two. Attacking so quickly, those who didn't know better thought you were De Tongfeng taking the opportunity to attack the crystal. Something's wrong. The third princess said expressionlessly, the supernatural effects produced by the current ghost Buddha lamps can only affect existences below ghosts and gods. No matter how stupid my eldest brother is and is deeply affected by the crazy war, the Duke of the West can interrupt at any time. The current situation seems to be some kind of accident, but it's good for us. Notify them, don't stop them, let this group of people step into the confines of Bohai Town before taking action, otherwise the absorbed life essence will be too scattered and will not be conducive to collection. The third princess gave orders in an orderly manner. In the golden pupils, there is only a disregard for the ghost's life. It seems that in her opinion, whether they are loyal subordinates or elites in the western region, they are just a string of numbers, a string of supernatural materials filled with lamp oil to satisfy her desires. However, at this time, an arrogant voice sounded over the town. You son of a bitch pirates, you show up for a showdown if you dare, you hide behind a woman, and you're being bossed around by a bitch. It's a disgrace to men. You're just a bunch of cowards. If you are brave, fight out with me. I will lead you to the top of the kingdom and become the king of the world. Our slogan is, no moths, but, create a world with only pirates and become the pirate king. Pirate Legion, charge with me. An impassioned word echoed in the sky and lingered for a long time. The pirates, who had suppressed their inner fighting spirit, completely exploded at this moment. GGG. Kill out. Create a world with only pirates. The ghosts responded one after another. He rushed out in a ferocious twist. Keep moving forward. No one's words will work. In layman's terms, it's already on fire. Third princess. Man. On the top of the tower. The two stared at each other. They are no longer as calm as before. There is a creepy feeling. Who is this horse? Where did this bitch come from? Besides, who are you scolding? You, meow, are the son of a bitch. There is no grievance, no grudge, why are you scolding me so harshly? At this time, the expression of the third princess finally changed. She is a ghost. Her fiancé is also a ghost. However, the two ghosts and gods were not aware of the source of the sound at all. This is so unreal. Even if they use the ghost realm to hide themselves, there will still be supernatural fluctuations left, but now, in their perception, there is no supernatural fluctuations nearby. If this was used for assassination, it would be extremely harmful. Let's go and have a look. The third princess made a prompt decision. Expand the ghost realm and disappear in place. When he reappeared, he had arrived at the center point where the two armies met. Here, she met the eldest prince and the Duke of the West who also came. Eyes facing each other. All four of them were at a loss. At the same time, he saw the confusion in the other person's eyes. Not you. The eldest prince and the three princesses opened their mouths at the same time and closed their mouths at the same time. Apparently, judging from the reactions of both parties, neither party knew anything about it. For a while, The atmosphere seemed strange. A mysterious existence that does not belong to the eldest prince, nor to the lineup of the three princes and daughters, is poking secretly. Oh no, it is Tama who is openly provoking a war between the two parties, but the other party is hiding in the dark, and cannot even trace its traces. This is ridiculous. When did the Eli Empire have such a terrifying being? And it doesn't sound like a civilized ghost. As soon as you hear the wording, you can tell that he is a bad guy with a bad personality. When they fight, who benefits? At once, a name suddenly appeared in the mind of the third princess. A little silence. She raised her head and said coldly, "Fourth brother, it must be you." As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was shocked. The fourth prince? Does the third princess mean that the person who instigated both sides to take action is His Royal Highness the fourth prince who is far away in the south? Is it possible? The next second, everyone fell silent. A faint voice sounded at an inappropriate time. "That's the correct answer, but it's a pity that there is no prize. My good brother and sister, how could you not call me for your intimate communication?" While talking, a majestic and extraordinary figure walked out of the sky. The same blonde hair and golden eyes made everyone immediately lock in his identity. What a fourth prince! The scene was shocked again. And at this moment, Shen Jian looked enthusiastic and grinned. "Eldest brother, third sister, I think you seem to lack a little courage, so I helped you. You don't blame me, my younger brother, for taking matters into your own hands, right? Everyone. You scheming bitch. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace." Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 877. It wasn't until Shen Jian's figure slowly walked out that everyone present finally believed that the man who was hiding in the dark and causing war between the two sides was really the fourth prince, a wicked guy. At this point, it was something no one expected. After all, in their opinion, the fourth prince successively occupied the southern, eastern, and northern borders in just over half a month, sweeping away all obstacles and achieving an almost miraculous achievement, but at the cost of squandering all the supernatural resources he had accumulated over the past 10 years. They will hibernate for a short period of time and recuperate. However, Shen Jian caught them off guard. Less than 5 days after conquering the northern territory, you appeared on the battlefield in the western territory again. Damn it, are you so energetic? Recovering territory doesn't require any planning? Speaking of high emotional intelligence, it means moving forward courageously and bravely. To put it mildly, this guy is just a square-headed and reckless man. How did such a person become the Lord of the Three Realms? For a while, none of the ghosts understood it. Fourth brother, do you know what you are doing? These are the elite forces of our Eli Empire. Now because of your vulgar words, they have been killed and suffered huge losses. You can afford the consequences. The eldest prince had a gloomy face. The tone was full of preaching. He acted like a big brother taking the lead, full of superiority. Nothing else. It is true that the former fourth prince was too cowardly and incompetent. Even if he was bullied by them, he did not dare to resist, let alone face them. Under such a stereotype, even if he knew that the current fourth prince was completely different from the previous one, the mentality cannot be changed in a short period of time. The third prince's daughter also half squinted her eyes, and her golden pupils could not hide the shock. Fourth prince, you are different from before. You have become bolder, and you dare to plot against me. Shen Jian spread his hands. Innocent said, I'm just a child, how can I think so much? Besides, your western border and the high seas have lost people. What does it have to do with my southern border, eastern border, and northern border? Third princess. The eldest prince. Group of ghosts. They all moved their mouths slightly. Damn it. You are so embarrassed to say it. God is just a child. A 240-month-old child, right? How dare you say this about not wanting billion? Besides, no wonder you can so calmly encourage the two armies of ghosts to start a war. You have no empathy at all. If the second half of this sentence is heard by the people of the kingdom, your support will be reduced by at least 30%. Anyway, they were determined. The fourth prince in front of him indeed seemed to be a different person. From the original playboy and incompetence, he has become evil, sinister, and has a bad personality. Mad seems to be even worse. Although the former is useless, its scope of activities is limited to the royal city. In addition, there are many restrictions in the royal city. No matter how absurd it is still within the acceptable range. The latter, however, affected the entire kingdom continent. Especially when the opponent also has a good level of terror, this bad influence will expand rapidly. Ling Ya, you didn't even have the courage to look at us directly before. Now that you have some strength, you know how to choke people. The eldest prince became cold. A grimace looked uncertain. Being answered in such a teasing tone by a younger brother who had bullied him all his life, he felt a little helpless. He felt that his dignity had been seriously challenged, and he was filled with shock and anger. On the one hand, I want Chen Jian to be respectful. On the other hand, he also knew that he might not be Shen Jian's opponent. This feeling of being surpassed made him extremely jealous and even more disgusting. It's not that he hates himself, but he hates why Shen Jian is better than him. That's not fair. What do you want to do now? At once. The eldest prince roared again. Hear the words. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows, with a strange smile on his lips. Can't you see? If you are eliminated, this boring trial for the king will be over. Do you really want to play for 5 years? No way, no way, it really takes you 5 years to do something so simple. Grass. The fist is hard. The teeth will also be broken. 5 years is a short period of time, okay. The final winner of the past king trials can get the support of the nobles of the first realm, and the victory is basically guaranteed. Who would have thought that you are such a pervert, and you have occupied 3 major territories in less than 2 years. You have made it so difficult for those who come after you. How to play? Certainly. It's really not the key. The key is that they know that Shen Jian is very qualified to say such words that deserve a beating, but they can't refute it yet. This is the most infuriating thing. It felt like I had eaten fly shit, and I couldn't spit it out, and I couldn't swallow it back, as if it was stuck in my throat. You know how to hit others' weak spots. This time, even the third princess, who is known for her calmness, could not help but raise her eyebrows, and there was anger in her heart. Then she smiled strangely. Fourth prince, you seem to be happy too early. You were caught off guard just now, but now, the army has arrived, and you have also appeared. Do you think the current army of ghosts will listen to you or me? The words fell. At the ends of both sides, a mighty army of ghosts arrived. Each one's eyes were glowing red, ferocious, and twisted, and there were only thoughts of endless fierce battles in their hearts. Do you know what this is? This battlefield is shrouded in a supernatural effect called infinite fierce battle. If anyone stays here for a long time, their temperament will become more extreme and they will become a killing machine of war. We won't stop until we kill until the last person is left. You can use trickery to order this group of people once, but not a second time. As long as I don't violate the principle of fighting to the death, I am still the leader of this group of pirates and can still order them. If I don't even have this preparation, how can I dare to use such weird supernatural means? The words fell. The third princess changed the topic, pointed at Shen Jian, and said loudly, "Everyone listen to the order, change the target, and kill him." She said this without any hesitation. Directly issued. Fueled by ambition and desire, The so-called blood relatives are nothing but obstacles to her and can be abandoned at any time. Otherwise, how could she have bribed the people around the fourth prince before this to frame her younger brother? After listening, the eldest prince was also stunned. I see. The reason why he could not command the elites of the Western Territory, but was threatened instead, was not that these ghost soldiers had disowned them, but that his orders had violated the supernatural rules, which produced the influence of Lord Devouring. As long as this is not stopped, he will still be the commander-in-chief of the Western region. Immediately, the eldest prince followed suit and gave the same order, "My people, kill this guy who pretends to be me." For a while, the evil ghost armies from both sides shifted their targets to Shenjian. Each one of them had a look in their eyes that was selective and devouring, and they rushed over as if they wanted to devour them alive. The excitement reached its peak. Ordinary people would feel their scalp numb and their whole body trembling just by looking at it. The third princess said indifferently, "You lost, fourth brother. There are more than 100,000 evil ghosts here. Even if the legendary world-destroying ghosts and gods come, they will die with hatred. No matter how deep you hide, there is no resistance. The ability of an army of 100,000 fierce ghosts. See this." Whether it was the eldest prince, the duke of the western region, or the men around the third princess, they could not help but show a certain attitude that the overall situation had been decided. Although it is somewhat funny that two parties that were incompatible not long ago are now united to fight against the other side, this approach is correct. The threat from the fourth prince was too great. One person occupies 3 realms. His men possess strange supernatural weapons that can kill 4,000 people with 300 people. If its development is not curbed, there will be no chance of winning the king trial. However, the fourth prince's whereabouts are so elusive that it is impossible to trace them. Now, the future crown prince, who had secured victory in advance, was so bold that he went to the western battlefield alone. At this time, no matter how many conflicts there were between the eldest prince and the third princess, they knew that the most important thing was to work together to eliminate Shenjian first. Their interests are the same. That is to directly eliminate the fourth prince. Even if he kills him, he won't hesitate. The other side. Looking at the dense army of ghosts that changed their targets and rushed towards him, Shenjian frowned, "I advise you not to be impulsive. Keep it alive, don't worry about running out of firewood." Group of ghosts. Hee. Are you afraid now? Didn't we just be asked to show our blood and ferocity? Didn't you still call us sons of bitches who only know how to hide under women's feet? What are you scared of now? Show some blood. Show the confidence you had when you just shouted. The ghost smiled ferociously, wishing to tear Shenjian into pieces. In fact, and that's exactly what they're doing. They went to kill the dog that had given them blood in a mighty manner. The next second, sizzle, boom, a white thunder struck down from the sky. It hit the most densely populated location of the army. In just one blow, more than 100 fierce ghosts were chopped into black dregs, not to mention blood, not even residual limbs were left. This scene. The ghosts were shocked. Eyeballs will pop out. His eyes regained some clarity and he looked at the source of the attack. Directly in front of them, Shenjian, who had been trying to persuade them not to be impulsive just now, was suspended in mid-air, with white electric snakes exploding all over his body. A bright white thunder was reflected in his golden pupils, and he stretched out 2 sticks in his right hand. Point downward. A bright white light fell from the sky. That's thunder. White yang lei. The most yang and the purest. Damn it. Are you transforming? Is it so outrageous? I dare you to say don't be impulsive before. You really have good intentions. The ghosts were trembling with fear. Nothing else. Thunder's restrained effect on ghosts is too good. Under such brilliant divine power, even those who were deeply influenced by the supernatural power of infinite fierce battle could not help but feel a trace of fear of the divine thunder in their hearts. It was a fear engraved in my bones. It's an instinctive reaction. Especially since their terror level is not very high, most of them are below the Ghost King and the Ghost King, this feeling of fear is even deeper. Actually, not only the mighty army of evil ghosts. After seeing Shenjian waving his hand to call for thunder, the third princess, the eldest prince and others also looked shocked and frightened. Even they dare not say that they can resist the power of this white Yanglei. Of all the people present, I am afraid that only the Duke of the West dares to say that he can block this attack. Go on, he only has the power of one blow. He is trying to scare you. The third princess was the first to react. A ghostly sound rang out, haunting in the ears of ghosts. Inspired by this, and with the supernatural influence of infinite fierce battle still present, the ghosts' eyes became fanatical again, and they charged forward with a roar. Boom! Another Yanglei struck the densest location. This time, still, hundreds of fierce ghosts were wiped out in ashes. Only the dregs remain. This moment, the ghosts once again recalled the fear of being dominated by thunder. Subconsciously he looked at the third princess, as if to say, isn't it just one blow? This doesn't look like it. Are you lying to us? Don't lie to fools. Third princess.